But let's raise the standards and measure early and solve problems now before it's too late.
Yeah, keep in mind, when we talk about gangster mentality in America, I think it's best to start at the White House, State House, City Hall, school, mosque, church, synagogue, and then get the gangster rap. Because they're all on the same continuum. You're talking about levels of corruption, levels of graft, trying to avoid 11th commandment, thou shalt not get caught, getting over by any means. I mean, that's a very, very human thing, very American thing. It goes from elites across middle classes all the way down.
And it has a long history.
It has a long history going back to Adam. But the problem is that when you have gangster mentalities at work among disadvantaged folk, it's even more devastating.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Why is it important for black people to have a mythology? It is important because black people have to have, as everybody else, a starting point. You just can't spring up in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia like Topsy. You got to start from somebody. You got to start from somewhere.
People are culturally bound. Tell me a person that exists outside of culture, and I'll tell you a person that does not exist. People don't exist outside of community.
Of course not.
So the question is, how do we sustain community and then engage in a mutually beneficial relationship with the rest of the world? And how do we sustain community so that we can sustain the power, the capacity to define, defend, and develop our interests and speak our own special culture truth to the world?
We have overused the word black because black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are. You can call an Italian white, that don't tell you anything about him.
That it is bad for us to continue to just refer to ourselves as so-called Negro, that's negative. When we say so-called Negro, that's pointing out what we aren't, but it isn't telling us what we are. We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America.
Now, if you tell the history of slavery right, you got a big problem on your hands. The slave trader didn't take some savage out of Africa. He took a human being. He sold him like an animal and separated him from his family. America invented the cruelest slavery in the history of the world because it broke up black families. After slavery was over, America kept breaking up the black man's family. And that's some awful history to teach. Now, if you want to look history right straight in the eye, you're going to get a black eye. Because it isn't important whether a few black heroes got lost or stolen or strayed in America's history textbooks. What's important is why they got left out. Now, this country has got a psychological history. There was a master race, and there was a slave race. And though there isn't any political slavery anymore, those same old attitudes have hung around.
However, that we're making progress in this country and worldwide?
No. I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. You pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull the knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
Do you have any prediction you'd like to make? No. When we'll solve this?
Cassius makes all the predictions.
I want to say one thing. If a white man come to hear him, we got 40 million black people that love his music. He don't need no white audience.
There's no 40 million white people in this country.
I'm just saying, I can't let you stay on the TV and say that he wouldn't make it if it wasn't for the white people.
Well, I'm not saying he wouldn't make it, but I'm saying he wouldn't make it as big as he does.
You're right, because them white people promote it. No. I got one more thing. People.
What he's saying is that it does not make you big because white people come.
Harrison didn't say that. He said it wouldn't go as big. It wouldn't go as big. Nor would your fight.
And your country wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us.
Wait a minute.
America wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for my people slaves and working for 400 years. And you white people fighting in all of your wars.
Yeah.
Then you talk about if I didn't, white people come to my fights and wouldn't have no money. We built the country.
That's right.
We fought in all the wars. We were lynched. We were captured, murdered. And
some of us were in on that. We want to give you a little bit. We want to give you some credit, Muhammad. But after all, you're 11 million out of 210 million, so you didn't do everything. The whites did something too, you know.
You did do
Everybody made a contribution.
You did do something. You killed off all the Indians, then you brought us over and robbed us.
Yeah, but what Mike's trying to say is that there's a way to say all of this without having any animosity.
Exactly. That's right. I buy that.
No, ain't no animosity. Ain't nobody hitting nobody.
Yeah, but it should not sound like it.
Words are more powerful than fists.
That's why animosity.
That's a fairly simplistic argument that we're having here. On the one hand, saying, why can't we all live together? Now we know that it's tough to live together, and we know that there are animosities, and we know that there's back dues and back pay and back things that are owed to people, and not just to black Indians as well, and to women as well, and to other minorities.
It is not simplistic.
Well, there's nothing simplistic. The man and his wife don't live together in perfect harmony all the time.
I'll tell you one thing.
Sometimes they have problems.
You take a house, you take a country, you kill off all the Indians, you kill off the blacks, and you get everything is yours. Now you say, let's live together without giving up nothing. We paying. Now you want peace. You got everything. You done conquered the world. Now you want to be people. Well, people ain't resting. They don't want more peace.
But this government has failed us. The government itself has failed us. And the white liberals who have been posing as our friends have failed us. And once we see that all these other sources to which we've turned have failed, we stop turning to them and turn to ourselves. We need a self-help program. Do it yourself philosophy. Do it right now philosophy. It's already too late philosophy. This is what you and I need to get with. And the only way we're going to solve our problem is with a self-help program. Before we can get a self-help program started, we have to have a self-help philosophy. Black nationalism is a self-help philosophy. What's so good about it, you can stay right in the church where you are and still take black nationalism as your philosophy. You can stay in any kind of civic organization that you belong to and still take black nationalism as your philosophy. You can be an atheist and still take black nationalism as your philosophy. This is a philosophy that eliminates the necessity for division and argument. Because if you're black, you should be thinking black. And if you're black and you're not thinking black at this late date, well, I'm sorry for you. Once you change your philosophy, you change your thought pattern. Once you change your thought pattern, you change your attitude. Once you change your attitude, it changes your behavior pattern. And then you go on into some action. As long as you got a sit-down philosophy, you'll have a sit-down thought pattern. And as long as you think that old sit-down thought, you'll be in some kind of sit-down everywhere. It's not so good referring to what you're going to do as a sit-in. Then right there, castrate you. Right there, it brings you down. What goes with it? Think of the image of someone sitting. An old woman can sit. An old man can sit. A chump can sit. A coward can sit. Anything can sit. Well, you and I have been sitting long enough, and it's time today for us to start doing some standing and some fighting.